Hello and welcome back to the channel. In this video I'm going to be sharing with you how to make a gong sleeve with another sleeve underneath it. So if this is something you like, please don't forget to hit on the subscribe button and let's dive right into today's video. So first, here is my pattern paper and I marked about 4 inches. This totally depends on how gathered you want the upper part of your sleeve. So now I'm going to go ahead to get my sleeve cap height, and to do that is your bust circumference divided by 12 plus 0.5 inches. So I'll just go ahead and mark that, and after that I'll just draw a straight line at that point. So mine is 3.25, but I like using 3.5 in most cases. So after marking that, I'll be taking the rest of the pattern as my sleeve length. So I will mark this as my sleeve cap height, and here will be the starting point of my sleeve, and the lower part will be the total length of my sleeve plus my folding allowance. So whatever you desire to use, go ahead to do that, and you can add 1 inch to the lower part, which will serve as a joining allowance and a stitching up allowance. So after I'm done marking that at the sleeve cap height, what I'm going to do there is to mark my armhole circumference divided by 2. So you're going to place your tape round your armhole, whatever you have you're going to mark. So mine is 16 divided by 2. I have 8 inches and I added 1 inch to it. So while cutting your sleeve, if you have any excess, you can just go ahead and trim out, and this 1 inch is just for ease. So from there I'll extend my line to the starting point. So after I'm done doing that, I'm going to place and divide what I have here into 2 this way, and I'm going to go ahead to mark. So after I'm done marking, I'm going to divide each part of this line that I marked into 2. I'll fold my tape, mark at this point, and also fold at this point, and I'm going to mark. So those points I'm marking right now, I'm going to be using it to draw out the curve for this sleeve. So now I'm going to be placing my tape, and I will mark 1/2 inch. The 1/2 inch will be on top this way, and at the other side I'm going to mark the 1/2 inch beneath it. So after I'm done marking, I'm going to connect from that point to the upper part, the center line or point to the upper part, and then connect this from that center line to the other 1/2 inch and to the end of my pattern. So this is what I have, and I'm just going to go ahead to blend this out very well. So this is how to cut out a basic sleeve. Most times on my channel I prefer using a freehand method, which is faster most time. So I'll just go ahead to use my marker to draw out. So this is what I have for this point. So at the lower part of my sleeve, I'll be marking my elbow round divided by 2. My elbow is 12 divided by 2. I have 6, and I'll add 1 inch to it and connect it to the upper part of my sleeve this way. So this is what I have, and next I'll be extending this up. So this totally depends on how puffy or gathered you want your yoke to be. So if you want your gong sleeve to be a little more bigger, you have to extend your measurement maybe by 5 inches in front, just the way we extended at the upper part. So I'll go ahead and I will cut out my pattern, and I'll place this on my fabric and also use it to cut it out. So after I'm done cutting out, this is what I have, and I will be working with this. Next, I'm going to fold up my Ankara fabric into 2, and I'm going to go ahead to place it on it. I'll use my pin to secure the pattern paper on my fabric, and after that I'll cut out my sleeve. So while cutting, I'm not going to add 1/2 inch at the upper part again, because I added 1 inch at the lower part, which will serve as the joining allowance on top of my sleeve and also for the turn up allowance. So if you added 1/2 inch at the lower part, you're going to add 1/2 inch on top of your sleeve. So go ahead to notch the middle, and I'm working on 2 sleeves, so I'll just go ahead and cut the other sleeve also. So after I'm done cutting out, this is what I have. So we are going to be working on one sleeve first. So I'm going to go ahead to cut out my lining, and I will be ironing a peplum stay on the sleeve. So this is my lining, and I've gone ahead to iron a peplum stay on it. So a peplum stay is quite different from a gum stay, but they look similar, just that a peplum stay is thicker than a gum stay. So I'll just go ahead and stitch with 1/2 inch all the way around my pattern. After stitching, I'll go ahead to notch and turn it to the right side. So this is it. I've gone ahead to turn it out, and now I'll be notching that point I have on the upper part. So I'll just go ahead and place this and I will cut. So this is just to show you where you're going to stop gathering at the upper part, because we are going to gather the upper part of this sleeve. So after that, I'll just go ahead and I will cut out this upper part, because I'll be using this to cut out the other sleeve that is in the middle of the gong sleeve. So now I'll just go ahead and trim out a little at this part, because I am working with a mesh and most times it can be very stretchy. So now I'm going to decide where my sleeve is going to stop. So at the length of your sleeve, go ahead to mark your wrist circumference. But if you're not actually working with your wrist circumference, you can create the funnel shape that I am trying to create for this pattern. And after that, I'll just go ahead to cut out the rest of the sleeve. And when I'm cutting this, actually I added 1/2 inch on this other pattern. Remember, for the gong sleeve I did not add 1/2 inch on top. I added 1 inch at the lower part, which I used 1/2 inch to turn it up, and the other 1/2 inch will serve as the joining allowance on top. So now I went ahead to sew a gather stitch with my needle and thread, because it's difficult to sew that with your machine, to sew a gather stitch with the machine on this part of your sleeve because of the peplum stay. So I'm just going to go ahead to gather it this way, and after I'm done gathering, I'm just going to go ahead to stitch it up at this part. So I forgot to mention, before stitching it up, you have to measure from the center of your sleeve to the other side to make sure it is enough for what you need. So now I'll open up my sleeve and I'll be pinning this down. So I'll pin it from the middle. I'll just go ahead to notch this, and I'll place the middle to the notched part of this gong sleeve. So remember, when we are making the gong sleeve, I actually notched it. So I'm going to go ahead to place my sleeve on it, and I'm going to pin it down. So after pinning it down, I went ahead to stitch it. So if you notice, I left like 1 inch at both sides. So the reason why I did that is that, measuring from the middle to the end, I have about 9 inches, and my round armhole is 16 inches divided by 2. I have 8. So you're going to get this after you must have gathered the upper part of your sleeve. So make sure that you take out or gather out whatever you added on top of your sleeve. So that 1 inch, I'll be using it as a sewing allowance. So on your dress that you're going to attach this sleeve to, from the joining on top of your shoulder to the armhole, after you're done stitching your dress, make sure that you have the same measurement, which is your armhole circumference divided by 2, which is 8. So after measuring that, you're going to flip in your sleeve this way, and you're going to turn it up. So you're going to be sewing that 1 inch allowance that you have out of your sleeve. So I'm going to sew that 1 inch all the way to the lower part, because what I added was 1 inch sewing allowance. So after I'm done sewing that, this is what I have. So I'm just going to go ahead to trim out the excess. But if you're not sure of what you have, leave your excess in case you're going to adjust your sleeve. If not, just go ahead and trim out the excess that you have at the back of your sleeve. So after I'm done trimming this out, I'm going to carefully turn this to the right side. So you just want to push and pull out your sleeve, that is the gong sleeve, out this way. So I'm just going to open this up, and this is what you'll be having already. So this is what I have. As you can see, is looking nice already. Now we are going to go ahead to stitch up our gong sleeve. All I'm going to do is just to go ahead to fold it back again this way, pull it out, and I'm going to start stitching immediately after the mesh sleeve that we have inside our gong sleeve. So I will be stitching with that same 1 inch allowance all the way down. So after I'm done stitching, this is what I have, and I'm just going to go ahead to turn this to the right side this way. So when you're turning this, make sure that you're careful to avoid tearing your sleeve. That is the mesh sleeve inside. So after I'm done doing that, this is what I have, and as you can see, my sleeve is looking very ready and simple. So I'm just going to go ahead to iron my sleeve out, and this is me fitting my sleeve also. So you want to go ahead to fit in your sleeve in case you have any adjustments on the sleeve. So I repeated the same process on the other side of my sleeve. So this is what I have. So next, you want to go ahead and attach this to your already made dress. So to attach this, I'm going to get the center of my sleeve, and that is the notched part of my sleeve, and I'll place it at the shoulder of my sleeve, and I will pin it down first. So after I'm done pinning it, I'm going to go ahead to take the armhole, the ending part of the armhole, pin it. You want to open it up and spread very well so that it will relax. So I'll go ahead and pin. So I'll continue pinning this all the way down my sleeve, and make sure that what you have at the armhole of the sleeve matches what you have at the armhole of your dress. But if you have any excess, go ahead and adjust your sleeve or dress before going ahead to attach this. So I'll just go ahead and pin this all the way around to the end of my sleeve. So at this point, if you find this tutorial very interesting and educative, please don't forget to hit on the subscribe button, give this video a thumbs up. So after you're done pinning, you're just going to go ahead and stitch this around your sleeve. And after I'm done stitching, so after I'm done sewing, this is me putting on the dress with a gong sleeve and another sleeve underneath. So a gong sleeve can also come in different sizes. You can also check out my previous video where I have a gong sleeve, and that is much bigger than this. Thanks.